you're anything like me and were shocked Galbrena knew his real name, the Grand Architects, the translation of said name from German to English, Schwarzloch, means black hole in English. And of course, everything gets brought full circle with mention of Overthrax, early Jinzhou Huanglong story, Jinshi and Scar's capture, even the plans for his execution. Yeah, didn't see that coming. Especially a character that is so relatable and integrated into modern society. For that, and the connection back to the Black Shores and mystery of Honami, I'd give 2.8 a 9. Hi again, it's been a while, but I spent the better part of last weekend playing through all of Wuthering Waves since Frolova's banner in 2.5. I took a pretty big break for several reasons, the main ones of which I covered in an update video over on the main channel, and honestly, I kind of don't regret the break. But where would the fun be if I told you why I say that in the first minute of the video though? I'm trying to get back into the swing of things here, trying some new stuff after the rebrand too, so if you'd be so kind as to hit subscribe or even just drop a comment or a like, I'd really appreciate it. You'll lose your 50-50 on Lene and Morny otherwise, just saying. Alright, so since I've been away, I never actually got the chance to give my thoughts on Septimont despite actually playing the early days of the patch, but if you've watched my earlier Wuthering Waves videos, especially the first one, you might recall that I called Rinascita a medieval Europe fan's wet dream. I stand by that. Not only did we go from Venice-inspired waterways and canals and Roguna with fairy tale-esque motifs, animated plushy echoes, cobblestone towns, gentle sloping hills, etc., we then dove straight into the heart of ancient Greece and Rome themselves with Septimont, and Kuro really outdid themselves on this. The main complaint of 2.0 to 2.3 was that the new region map felt too disconnected, as in, each area of the map had its own unique identity despite being part of a larger, similarly themed whole. If you want my opinion, I think Rinascita's map was straight heat, regardless of how it was laid out. The thing about Huanglong was that it was mostly all the same, minus the Northall Barrens terrain and flora fauna-wise. There weren't unique identifiers. Okay, as unique identifiers. That made it stand out as much. I still very much enjoy the Chinese-themed landscape and region, don't get me wrong. I especially love the Mount Firmament area with the redstone and snow, not to mention how modern China themed the town is. Rinascita, though, gave players a little piece of everything. Serene fairy tale countryside, ominous this could be a RuneScape map looking place where you fought the Dragon of Dirge, the evil looking this is where a witch would live estate of the Facilias, the Louvre-like Alvarado vault with modern interior design. I mean, there was even the giant maze like something out of Alice in Wonderland. There was a lot to like. The thing about Septimont, however, was that it took those Renaissance-like motifs and put them on the back burner in favor of something more gladiator-esque. As someone who read Rick Riordan all throughout middle school and junior high and loved his work, I really enjoyed the callbacks to ancient Greece and Rome, but with a modern twist. Sports drinks, competitive gaming, grandeur. Then, of course, you had Augusta and Yuno who led the city itself. But the sheer respect Augusto commanded and appreciation Yuno garnered from the people is not to be overlooked. You could make the argument that, yeah, of course it was 2 women because people will spend money to pull for them, but it's more than that. It's the fact that Augusta climbed to the top after starting at the very bottom and still managed to rule with a soft iron fist. She loved her people and saw no favor in cheating. This video isn't about Septimont only though. Let me really get into why I wanted to make this. Don't forget that Septimont is still deeply rooted in ancient Greek and Roman culture. But if you haven't played past the 2.6 story quest yet, this is your spoiler warning. Peak happens in 2.7. During the 2.7 quest, there's a certain trophy you can earn called Do Not Go Gently Into That Beautiful Night, and I'm sure at least some of you have heard the saying, do not go gentle into that good night. Well, here's where that gets cool. That trophy is an allusion to Dylan Thomas's poem by the same name, Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. More specifically, the songs Saving Light and Chasing Daylight are likely also allusions to Dylan Thomas's poem. Stanza 1, line 3 reads, Rage against the dying of the light. The entire theme of Rinascita, if you want to really dumb it down, is about dark versus light. Think about the lantern entrusted to Rover by the late Fenrico. When you enter the Dark Tide in 2.7, you enter the Journeying Paradise, where you can then use the lamp infused with the Sentinel's power to swap between different hidden rooms or dimensions as you travel deeper. But wait, it gets better, and even more complex. Aside from literary allusions and English poets, The Greek and Roman references get even crazier. How many of you actually looked up Galbrena's name when she said she assumed the name after the demon's defeat of the same name? Well, this one is a little more obscure. There's a chance her character was inspired by Perseus, the legendary Greek hero who slayed Medusa. The similarity is the connection between the demon Galbrena and Medusa, both terrifying monsters, Medusa a demon in her own right, but both slain by great heroes. However, you could also make the argument there was some Prometheus influence in there as well. Prometheus brought fire from the heavens to humans, and with Galbrena being a fusion character and monster associated with fire, also think about the Olympics and the Olympic flame and Septimont, it's reasonable to think there's a connection there too. Did you know though that Cetus the Tidebreaker was a sea monster in Greek mythology? Well, this goes way back to early 2.0. The Carnival made Cetus into a monster by all rights. Pretty neat, right? Well, at the end of 2.7, you get a brief glimpse of Cetus in the clouds again, which is likely a hey, don't forget about me kind of thing, but it also makes you think about where Cetus is and where you, as the player, are. Cetus is in the sky, like the gods, and Rover is in Septimont, pretty much a creative reimagining of a Roman Colosseum. Now, let me really blow your minds. Remember Avidius? Yeah, the poor guy really got the short end of the pen, but remember when we were forced to fight him under a certain name? Oh, you know, Caligula? What's Caligula? Before you ask, no, it's not the anime by the same name. Confusing anime, by the way. Caligula, also known as Gaius Caesar, see more ancient Rome references, was known for being a harsh tyrannical ruler. Avidius' ascent, or I guess descent, into madness through the corruption of the Dark Tide is a direct reference to this infamous Roman emperor. In fact, if you wanted to make the argument that when we meet Avidius inside the temple, acting all high and mighty when he blames Rover for his fall, Avidius' own corruption and self-absorption are also references to Caligula, I wouldn't blame you. Later in the 2.7 story quest, Rover has a conversation with Cristoforo, and he uses the term dramatic irony intentionally. Dramatic irony is when the audience knows something the character does not. We aren't the intended audience in his play, though. Confused yet? If Cristoforo is the one scripting everything, Frolova's fall into the Lost Beyond in 2.5 and Cristoforo's own recovery of Leviathan's gem, then, we, as Rover, are only one character in the play. We don't know what the audience knows. In some regard, with Frolova's antagonizing return as a villain. Yeah, as someone who has freed her and spent all of the Radiant Tides on asteroids, I was content with her just enjoying her time in the Lost Beyond after she fell over the edge in the water and sank. See my video on Frolova's story for those thoughts. So, you could say Frolova, Scar, and the Grand Architect are the audience. Only they receive insight into Cristoforo's script writing. Wonder how Scar got loose or why Frolova returned to fight with the Fraxidus again? It's easy to go back and rewrite something. As Rover uprooted key moments of Cristoforo's script, he was forced to go back and rewrite those moments. He even inadvertently admits as much. While we don't have direct proof this is what happened with Scar and Frolova, it's pretty easy to see just how influential Cristoforo's power is. Writing a whole character into existence from nothing but ink on paper, Avidius. His appearance seemed pretty sudden, right? Well, that's why. He never actually existed, never had a fate he could rewrite. He was just a puppet on a stage. Alright, let's jump back in, see what I did there, to the Journeying Paradise. We know the Fraxidus are trying to control the remnant energy within the Sonorio spheres, and the Journeying Paradise is but one example of that, just on a much larger scale. When we jump into the Dark Tide in Septimont, after Galbrena, we actually do meet her in Hell. A comment she makes in reply to a threat made towards her earlier in the story. With Galbrena technically being a demon, she's technically where she belongs. However, when we catch back up with her and meet Kharon, ferrying his boat across, wait for it, Styx Lake, yes, like the river Styx in the underworld in Greek mythology, Galbrena gives him a coin for the ferryman. You must give Kharon something, gold or jewels, before he will ferry souls across the river, lake in this case, and this is made evident by the gold coins and jewels embedded in his flesh. If you're anything like me and were shocked Galbrena knew his real name, the Grand Architects, the translation of said name from German to English, Schwarzloch, means black hole in English. And what is the dark tide that begins to swallow everything in Septimont? A metaphorical black hole. It's hell, a place there's no escape from. When you enter the Journey Paradise, I believe, you earn a trophy, Katabasis. Enter the plane of Dark Tide. The word Katabasis is also ancient Greek and refers to the journey to the underworld. Specifically, it means descent or going down. This is another ancient Greek reference. It's unlikely it's an allusion to the book of the same name by R.F. Kuang that follows two doctoral students who venture into hell to save their thesis advisor. A little bit of magic and fantasy there. And, of course, everything gets brought full circle with mention of Ovathrax, early Jinzhou Honglong's story, Jinshi and Scar's capture, even the plans for his execution. Yeah, didn't see that coming. Xu Yuan's involvement and some behind-the-scenes stuff with the first lament in Jinzhou 3 years ago from present-day Lua also not only adds depth to the story from its early days, but he also teases a seemingly unknown to the player part of Honglong, Ming Ting, setting up a little foreshadowing and likely return to Jinzhou and or Honglong sometime in the future. As you can see, the story writing in this game is quite literally unmatched and incorporates lore from various sources that give rise to the game's inspiration. But don't let the allusions and references fool you. The musical score in 2.6 to 2.7 story quests, especially 2.7, are excellent. Every song fits each atmospheric scene perfectly while pumping you up in tense moments and fights. When you're fighting Leviathan itself near the end of the 2.7 quest, the song Till Dawn is a callback to the other songs included in previous 2.x updates, and the most recent 2.8 update with its album, Dawn Over the Ruins. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least briefly talk about Honami City, their element, and Chisa. I feel kind of obligated since Chelly did the song that plays near the very end of the quest, Lingering Summer Light, and as a huge Egoist and Guilty Crown fan, the anime that brought the band together, I just want to give her all the love in the world for her work on my favorite game. Honami City was so perfectly Japan-coded with its anime-like settings, especially the road that leads under the bridge that I'll show you if I can find it in my 5.5 hours of footage, that it really felt like another game entirely. The little shops that line the streets, the rooftop motif, the capybaras, adorable, the cherry blossoms, students in school uniforms. Like, I know you could also just watch a lot of anime and level build the coordinates to reference images, but it just really felt like the developers went and captured the essence of a modern inter-Japanese city so perfectly. Keep in mind, Kuro is based in China, and if you've been keeping tabs to the latest Japan-China developments, the two are really not on great terms right now. While Honami's lament leaves room for questions and theories, I think it's safe to say that the lament isn't something unique to just one world. Honami was cut off from the rest of the world, yet Chisa's friend, Sumika, was part of the Black Shores, which raises questions about just how wide the world really is and how Honami managed to hide itself like it did. Does the lament create some kind of connection between space-time, or is it a space-time phenomena that doesn't discriminate, that affects everything it touches? Knowing that the Thrunodian, named Leviathan, was born of negative human energy, it's not out of the question to think that there's some broader force at play, something that rivals a Sentinel, obviously. The final few things I'll say to the 2.7 to 2.8 main story quests, namely Honami, are the anime motifs present in the city. There's a dialogue option when you're talking to Chisa up on the roof one evening, watching the sunset, where Chisa says, "This kind of life almost feels like..." And the first option to reply with is an anime episode that got cut halfway. Chisa then goes on to talk about how she was always about those special worlds, eating watermelon every summer in the wake of a cooling fan. Very anime coded, but it was a cute, genuine conversation that really made Chisa feel human and not like some machine or foreign individual whom we have no connection to. I've yapped enough though. If I had to give a final score to the entire 2.0 storyline, I think the confusion created by Cristoforo's own abilities causes a little disconnect at times, and the introduction of Xion did seem sudden, even though I like what Kuro is doing with him, but those are really the only flaws I can see. Because of that, I'd say Rinascita is an easy 9.5 out of 10. For 2.8 and Honami specifically, the humanistic side of the storytelling, the cold shoulder the world gave Chisa for being a resonator, despite her abilities being something she was born with, and the use of her collar as a way to symbolize how others saw her as a monster or untamed animal was actually very well done. The way she opens up to Rover is also really nice, but I don't think she did it for the reason she just wanted someone to talk to. I think she was written this way to showcase how lonely the human spirit grows when it's all alone for so long. Wuthering Waves isn't a game filled with characters who have no special meaning to their existence or suddenly just appear. It's a game that meticulously crafts life and human value into its characters, and Chisa fits that mold so well. Her ability to stand on her own, the way she was constantly pushing her body just to survive and find a way out of Honami. This is the first time we've really gotten to see such humanistic side to a character in this game, especially a character that is so relatable and integrated into modern society. For that, and the connection back to the Black Shores and mystery of Honami, I'd give 2.8 a 9 out of 10. My only grievances are that the rising action and climax felt a little too short. Also, because Chelly performed Lingering Summer Light, and I know because she tweeted about it, Notification Gang, I also have to score this update high. Seriously though, this was such a fun update. It slowed things down and made you take a breath. It's the perfect exposition to a year of nothing but constant banger updates and edge-of-your-seat action. Also, my hope is that if Chelly ever does come across this video in some way, I'd get the chance to tell her thank you for making my life so much better with her music, but also to tell her thank you for lending her talents to what has quickly become the best game I've ever played. I tell my friends and family how much the writing just blows me away all the time. This coming from someone pursuing a master's degree in liberal arts. Think of it as a master's in English but with more humanities. And also from someone who's done this. Okay, that was a lot to talk about. Even if Chelly doesn't ever see this video though, I at least got to put my heartfelt thanks out there. You know, her music quite literally changed my life forever. That warm, mucky June night in 2014 got me through my undergraduate degrees, the global pandemic. Okay, enough. I know, she's just like someone I kind of idolize, okay? Anyways, go finish the Rinascita story. Check out all the allusions Kuro made to different works of media, as well as the references to ancient Greek and Rome, wink wink. But above all, let the soundtrack guide you. 2025 did not disappoint, and it's so exciting to see just where 3.0 and the highway will take us. Next video, I want to give my early impressions on the info we have on 3.0 so far, and hopefully get that out pretty speedily. Okay, that's all I've got, but there will definitely be a lot more woo-woo around here in 2026, and who knows, maybe something alive and two-dimensional. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Also, don't forget to give Chelly a bunch of love.